I don't know if I'm correct in this, but one of the incredible things to me about our collaboration is not only, in the pieces you've written for me, not only, it's live music and the collaboration, but you actually wrote them around a particular story, and particularly the one for Eight Fingers. And so, did that, in your knowledge, like, did that happen in previous centuries where music was written to tell a particular story about that performing artist?
I'm not sure I've heard of an example maybe so specific as ours, right? I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
there's just myriad collaborations where it's a composer writing a piece for a specific performer, like a violin concerto, piano concerto, whatever. But the degree of specificity, I think, in our collaboration might be uh, fairly unparalleled,
Right. That's a good way. And definitely
especially for the
unparalleled
system.
that it was a piece for Eight Fingers. So let's talk about our collaboration. So we've had a few. So the first one started when I injured my hand. And my hand was in a cast, I think, still. And Zach reached out to me and said, "Hey, I've never written something for left hand only. Could I write you a piece for left hand? I've written a nocturne for another pianist, but could we make it a nocturne for left hand?" So we decided to do that, and I said, "Great." And then I thought about it, and I thought at the time I had use of one, two, and three in my right hand also. So at the time I had use of Eight Fingers, and I said, "Zach, well, I might as well use these fingers, and I can't in left hand compositions. So why don't you write the world's first piece for Eight Fingers?" So, which he did that. He's always up for a challenge. And I believe that was your first time not only writing for Eight Fingers, but writing left hand only, which is its
Yes.
own challenge. And I'm going to talk about the piano challenges around that. And then we took it up a notch. And I said, we met, and I said, "Zach, how about if you tell the story?" So this nocturne number two of his tells the story of my hand injury. So I'm going along, and it's gets more and more complex, and starts simple and a little bit dark and minor, and gets more and more complex, and then builds up into very loud climatic section where it actually goes into an enormous crash. And the crash is actually my fall, because I injured my hand by falling. And it was such a surprise. I just tripped, and it was a just bizarre situation, and thought my finger had fallen off my hand. And everything kind of stops in this music, because it stopped in my life. My whole trajectory of my life changed in that moment. And then what comes out of that is just this surreal, exquisite beauty that goes into major. And it's kind of like in the clouds, and then it comes more clear. And I've at least now do it more and more with both hands, because I have both hand capability. So what was that like? Just like creating something around a very specific scenario.
It was it was really meaningful and really yeah, it was exhausting, but in a really good way. So, having that super personal narrative to craft a piece around was, exciting, exhausting, exhilarating, all of that, but ultimately extremely rewarding.
I did not know it was exhausting. That makes sense. So for me, no, it's been a couple years now, but for me, when I first received this, I it took a couple weeks before I could get through it without crying, because I guess you could say it exhausting in that way, like so emotional for me to have written this for me, and to have the story being told, and on top of that, at the time, my right hand, there was so much uncertainty about my right hand. So it actually gave me hope. And I will tell you, when I play it for you now, and when I play it now, it's hard for me to even conceive of things that I'm playing with my left hand. It's so tempting now to just play them with my right hand. And it's hard for me to even conceive that I couldn't do that. Like, and so sometimes I get a little confused of like, what's left hand, what's right hand, where am I not supposed to have my right hand? Because you're going to see, there's all these enormous jumps. And now that I have full use of my right hand. It's so tempting to just play it with my right hand because then it's less of a jump. But I still go through that same experience of the emotions behind that. So it's I mean, it's on my, several of you have my recording Left Hand Lemonade because I had played this during my last Facebook Live full concert and then recorded it professionally and then made that into a recording called Left Hand Lemonade.